Go.
Hello, and good evening to some of you. This is my first attempt to step out to the public in a way that is basically and primarily strictly for our health. And this is my way of getting our vision out. So I'm coming to you via Facebook, via Zoom, and via personality, an opportunity to see Dr. Lori Myles and the vision that we have for District 3 coming forth. I would like to introduce to you today my campaign manager.
Good evening. I'm Ms. Lisa Holmes Hargrove. I am the campaign manager for Dr. Lori Myles, running for Commissioner for District 3 Augusta.
And today what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation where she's actually going to interview me with some of the questions that actually have come from the different forums that have been, should we say, zooming across the city of Augusta. So I wanted to be able to answer some of those questions, but also to give you an opportunity to see us candid in every opportunity and situation as far as the questions and the vision of this campaign. One of the other things I want you to make sure that you do. Now next week we'll almost be really almost 2 weeks out. And what we're going to do, we're going to host a Facebook Live. We're going to host a Facebook Live where you will be able to give us some of your questions and we're going to respond to them. So I look forward to hearing from you, and that, of course, we're going to do that next week, and we will put those dates up for you. Now, please, I'm ready for your questions.
Good
Ms.
evening,
Hargrove.
Dr. Myles.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Okay.
Okay, today we're going to start off with a question that most of our voters would be interested in.
Okay.
And it is to describe your education, training, and experience, and what is your motivation to serve as a county commissioner?
Truly, let me start out with my education. I would have to start out with my education because my education, of course, started in Richmond County in 1981. 1981, of course, I am a Memphis resident that was brought up here to be educated and, of course, to become an athlete at Payne College, in which I had decided that not only would I finish my 4-year degree, I was given the opportunity to then step into the education field of the Richmond County Board of Education in the fields of English, DCT, workman's apprenticeship, job training. In other words, I have spent over 35 years educating this community. And being that I was educating this community, while I was doing that, I continued to pursue my education, and I actually went to Georgia Southern University, and I received my doctorate in a course which not only do we have the dissertation and all the writings and you become authors, but I was able to not only receive a doctorate degree, but I earned it in the sense that I then decided that I would research my city's efforts through my dissertation and through my book. So as far as education and as far as community, I've been here since 1981. I have seen Augusta grow, and I am hoping to see it expand with me being a part of that leadership.
Okay. And are you still currently an educator?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. Well, you know, many people, and I must say this, many people say there's such thing as walk the walk and talk the talk. Now, my thing is, I immediately said, okay, 30 years, I'm through. I do not want to see another kid. I do not want to be a part of anything like that. Let me just change the face of my career. But guess what? I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? We talk about the prison system. We talk about restoration within our communities. We talk about building up young men and young women. Now, I've been building young women through mentorship for years, always. But I never took the time to approach the young men. I always said it was too hard. So what happened was I decided, let me apply. Someone actually gave me an opportunity, and I would like to say Dr. Tanjanika Jackson called me and she said, Lori, there are some positions open at the Department of Juvenile Justice at what is that? Augusta RYDC. And the first thing I asked her, Lisa, I said, isn't that the jail? She said, yes, but children have to be educated as well. So I said, but I don't know if I'm fit for that. Well, guess what? I decided that I would no longer talk the talk, but I would walk the walk as far as restoring our community through our young boys and our young men. In other words, many of us say that we're my brother's keeper, but how many of us are going to stop just saying what ought to be done and actually step in the pit and find out what needs to be done? And so for the past, as a matter of fact, I'm on my second year. For the past 2 years, I have decided to work with young boys and, of course, many of them, we can't call them criminals because until proven guilty, they are not that. But this is a part of the hurting part of our community and, should I also say, the nation. So that's where I've been the past couple of years.
Okay. Do you wish to continue in that role, or what is leading you now to get back into the political arena?
Wow, good question. And let me say that the reason why I say that's a good question is, now, I'm reminded, for those that get offended, you have to get offended because that's Dr. Lori Myles. If you know anything about Dr. Lori Myles, many say people are religious. You can call it religious. I call it principles. But when it comes to being there, I'm reminded of a story of Joseph, who was in that prison but decided that, hey, I don't want to stay here forever, and I want to go and use the leadership that I have actually found out and know that needs to be pushed within the community. Now, for 30 years, I've already been doing it, should I say, all the way. I am not a leader that just woke up yesterday and decided I wanted to be a leader. I'm not a leader that woke up and decided that I wanted to lead because I had a vendetta. I am not a leader that has decided that public appearance is the best thing that ever happened. Most things that have happened in the past, usually it was because I was speaking out for not only, should I say, the underdog, but I was speaking out on an issue that I felt that many needed to take awareness of. And when I say that, when there were no buses going throughout the city and transportation within this city was shutting down at a certain time, where mothers had to actually walk the rest of the way if you wanted to stay at your job, or they were taking taxis, or should I say, when it came to some people having to actually go to different hospitals and there was no mode of transportation, I began to speak out. Now, was it because it affected me? No. It was because it affected the community. And sometimes when we have gotten where we are, we forget that there needs to not be pity, but there needs to always be within our hearts and within our brand of leadership and principles, the fact that everyone should be treated right. And with that said, those were some of the things that I brought to the city of Augusta that I have actually had to speak on before. And it still doesn't matter. I am not the kind of candidate that needs to be voted in order to speak. You don't have to pay me. You don't have to pay me to do what I do. I do this because I am concerned about the community. I am concerned about the future of the next generation.
Okay. Well, with that, what are your two top policy priorities, and how will you work to achieve results?
Let me say this. And may I answer the second part of your question first?
Yes.
Okay, and that is, how will I do it? We have to work together as one. I'm going to have to be a part of a 10-member board that has to work with its mayor. So it can't get done without us. We are all part of each other. We are a matrix. We are a group. We are a community within ourselves. Districts making up one. I have to. There are going to be some things that even, should I say, the public, they're like, okay, well, most of us want to do this. But you must have a leader that's going to be transparent enough to not only come to you as in your district and say, well, let me tell you, this is really the real story. Don't just look at, take things out of context, but let's just look at the whole thing so that you understand why I'm in there for your vote. But we do have to work together as a community, as districts together, and we do have to work with our mayor. You know, it doesn't matter. We cannot get into this thing. Dr. Lori Myles is not into this thing. One of the things that you will always see is that I have to put community first. And one of the things, and you said, I believe there were two things that you asked. One, Augusta is changing. And since Augusta is changing, Augusta is beginning a transformational change. And when I say transformational, what's happening is it has been changing all along. And we found ourselves, in some cases, we were not ready. I mean, when I say that, Ms. Hargrove, when I say that, Lisa, we were not ready. We were not ready for this big bust of construction, this big bust of electricians and plumbers. And because, yes, we had made some decisions in the past, leadership has made some decisions in the past, and when it came time for looking for the skilled worker, we didn't have skilled workers in place. So then we had to go throughout the city, let me say not city. We had to go through the counties, and we had to go through other cities and find skilled craftsmen to do jobs that our children and our generations should have already been prepared for. We found ourselves without business licenses and training in seminars and things that should have already been in place. So with that said, one of the things that I am truly going to try to promote as a commissioner with my colleagues is the fact that we need to make sure that our city is abreast and trained in the areas of our weaknesses. Yes, technology. Yes, cyber. But one thing that we have to remember, even with cyber, because it is coming in, it's going to transform us, and it is transforming us throughout the world. So our children, yes, do need to be ready. But one thing that we have forgotten is that, and I like to put it in the way of the dinosaurs, the meat eater and the plant eaters, the herbivores versus the carnivores. When the herbivores move, you better move with them, carnivores, or you shall not eat. You shall not eat, and you shall not live. We need each other to go from one stage to the other. And I'm hoping that Augusta realizes that the status quo must be changed. It's time to go to another level. And sometimes we have to vote people that are going to not only speak up, but they're going to speak up on the behalf of everyone, of the greater good. And the second thing that I want to do, one of the policies that I definitely want to implement in District 3. And so if it comes back and it happens, I need you all to, well, we're going to give God the glory. Oh, I said it. But the idea came here, and they heard it. So if they hear it, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to put my name on it. You don't have to author me. In other words, as long as you know it was something for the greater good of the community, and that is this right here. I believe this is what I want to see. Many people know about the big Gordon Highway. You know, Gordon Highway is it used to be like the autos, whatever. What was it called? The Motor Mile. It used to be called the Motor Mile. It used to be called the Motor Mile. But right now, it is the entryway of the world. It's becoming the entryway of the world. Cyber is here. They're bringing in their soldiers and their specialists and all of these people that are professionals from all over the world. And they're bringing them here, and then they're moving them into this community. And when they're moving them in this community, what's happening is the community's getting larger. That land that was sitting there for a long time with nothing on it, it has now become prized possession. So what does Dr. Myles want to do? I would like to take the former AKA Motor Mile and turn it into the Veterans, watch this now, the Veterans Highway, because it's already named a Veterans Memorial Highway. But that Veterans Memorial Highway, where these soldiers and all people all across the world are coming in, I would like to turn that area over there into a community memorial park. A park that is set there for the children. A park that is set there for people who realize, some of us realized family and living was important before Corona. Before COVID-19, we realized that, hey, you can have all the money in the world, but what are we doing for our family? What are we doing for the next generation? Well, we want to make this a park that is going to have access for, our dogs, access for exercise, access and beauty for the fact that if we want to go out and walk on a Sunday morning, we're able to see these type things, but yet a place also that we can ascertain knowledge in the sense that we've had some very important veterans come through this city throughout the ages. Let's take time within this park to have certain markers, certain historical, should we say, pics where you can stop on your walkway and actually read and learn and walk and understand. That's what I mean when you see my signs that say building pillars for the community, I'm actually talking about let's take part of our city where, number one, we're not, excising anyone out, but what we're doing is bringing us together as one, but also providing for our next generation. You like my part?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, it seems that you have a big interest in the community.
Yes.
And oftentimes, and I find myself as a citizen of Richmond County, that we find out a lot of information via social media, news, other outlets, just people chattering.
Right.
So if you are, or when you're elected as
I like that one better.
Commissioner of District 3 for your community, how would they receive that information? Would you hold monthly meetings? How would you encourage citizen participation?
Wow, I love
for
that.
District 3?
Oh, good question. Now, I really like that. I was reading the other day about the presidents of the United States, and they were saying President Obama. President Obama was the first president to start putting his weekly address on social media. And in other words, wow, AKA transparency. Boom, he went straight for it. And it became one of the biggest things that was part of his candidacy. And also one of the things that kept the people informed. And secondly, I have to say our now president, President Trump, now, as they said, he has tweeted over 15,000 times, and his record, I believe, is 84 tweets in one day. If anybody would say, where in the world do you have time to tweet? But he considers whatever he has to say, not one where it may be aggravating anyone. People, we can't just look at the aggravation part of it. We have to look at it. This is a method of communication. This is a method of transparency. This is a method that serves as a bridge when many of us are at the crossroads not knowing where to go. If this man speaks, at least we know what his mind is saying.
Right.
Okay? To a point. So that's what I would do. I mean, I would lead, just like I'm doing now with this social media here, try to provide that type of transparency. Try to provide this type of professionalism. And first of all, I need to give a shout out for my friend, Miss Allison Osborne, who set up this beautiful attire for us to actually be able to come forth. And we will try to do the same thing at the 1st of June. We're going to do that so that we can make sure that we are there for you all. We want you to make sure that on that Facebook Live section that they are actually asking the question and then getting other people out to vote. They have to. If you have not mailed it in, I mean, we did the commercial, but if you haven't mailed your absentee ballot in, then you're going to have to make some decisions. It cannot be to the point that you say, oh, my health, my safety. Well, guess what? You need a mask. You need a mask. We need to make sure that we bring our ID and, of course, do the social distancing, because if we're not doing that, and I'm pretty sure within that election office on that day, no matter where you've gone, they're going to have X's. People, if you can stand in line, watch this, for Burlington or TJ Maxx in the rain, social distancing, then you truly, on Tuesday, June 9th, can make it a priority that you are standing in line getting ready to vote. That's what we all need to do.
Yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Lori Myles, for answering my questions this evening.
Okay. And thank you again for making this dream possible. All right, everybody, have a great day. And once again, remember, vote Dr. Lori Myles as your next district commissioner for the city of Augusta. Thank you.